In a world where noise is constant, and everyone seems compelled to speak their mind, there is an underestimated power in silence. Silence, often misunderstood as a sign of weakness or uncertainty, can be a profound tool of strength and wisdom. It's not the silence of ignorance or avoidance, but the deliberate choice to hold one's tongue, to withhold words when they are not necessary. Silence, in its profound simplicity, is one of the most powerful tools available to us, yet it is often overlooked in a world that values noise and constant communication. We live in an age where speaking out is encouraged, where opinions are voiced at every opportunity, and where silence is frequently mistaken for weakness or a lack of understanding. However, those who truly grasp the value of silence recognize it as a wellspring of strength and wisdom. Silence is not the absence of thought or engagement, but rather a deliberate choice, a strategic tool that allows us to navigate life with grace and discernment. When we think of strength, we often picture it as something outward and forceful words spoken with conviction, actions taken with purpose. Yet, true strength is often found in restraint. It takes immense self-discipline to remain silent when the world expects you to speak, to hold your tongue when others would lash out. This restraint is not born out of fear or uncertainty, but from a place of inner confidence and clarity. When we are secure in our understanding and beliefs, we do not need to constantly assert them. Silence in this context becomes a testament to our inner strength, a reflection of our ability to rise above the fray. Moreover, silence allows us to observe and listen, two actions that are fundamental to wisdom. In the quiet, we become more attuned to the world around us. We notice the nuances in conversations, the unspoken emotions behind words, and the underlying currents of situations that others may miss in their rush to speak. This heightened awareness provides us with a deeper understanding of people and circumstances. Wisdom is not simply knowledge accumulated over time, it is the ability to apply that knowledge in ways that are thoughtful, measured, and considerate. Silence gives us the space to reflect, to weigh our words and actions before we commit to them, ensuring that when we do speak or act, it is with purpose and insight. In interactions with others, silence can be a powerful response. When faced with criticism or provocation, the instinctive reaction may be to defend oneself, to argue, or to retaliate. However, this often leads to escalation, with words fueling further conflict. Silence, on the other hand, can diffuse tension. It denies the other person the reaction they are seeking, leaving them to question their own motives and often leading to a de-escalation of the situation. By choosing silence, we maintain control over the narrative and over ourselves. We are not drawn into unnecessary conflict, and we do not allow others to dictate our emotional responses. This is a quiet but formidable form of strength. Silence also offers us a refuge, a space to connect with our inner selves. In the constant noise of daily life, it is easy to lose sight of our own thoughts and feelings, to be swept up in the demands and expectations of others. But in moments of silence, we can return to ourselves, to our own thoughts, desires, and values. This introspection is crucial for personal growth and for making decisions that are true to who we are. It is in the silence that we often find the answers we seek, not in the opinions or advice of others, but in our own hearts and minds. Furthermore, silence has a unique ability to foster creativity and problem-solving. When we stop the incessant flow of words and information, we allow our minds to wander, to explore new ideas and perspectives that might not surface in the midst of constant chatter. Some of the greatest insights and innovations have emerged from periods of quiet reflection. In silence, our minds have the freedom to think deeply and creatively, unburdened by the noise that usually surrounds us. In relationships, too, silence can be a gift. It provides space for others to speak, to share their thoughts and feelings without interruption. This kind of attentive silence shows respect and empathy, allowing for deeper connections to form. It also gives us the opportunity to truly listen rather than merely waiting for our turn to speak. In this way, silence can strengthen bonds, fostering trust and understanding. Silence is not an absence but a presence. It is a powerful tool that, when used wisely, can help us navigate the complexities of life with strength and wisdom. By embracing silence, we cultivate a sense of calm and clarity that enables us to respond to challenges with grace and purpose. It is a reminder that sometimes the most powerful statement is the one left unsaid, and that true strength often lies not in what we say, but in what we choose to withhold. Silence possesses a unique and often underestimated power, especially in the face of opposition. In a world that values quick responses and immediate reactions, silence can be a strategic tool to disarm those who seek to challenge or provoke us. It is easy to get caught up in the heat of the moment, to feel the need to defend ourselves or our ideas with a barrage of immediate words. However, responding with silence can be far more effective in diffusing conflict, unsettling adversaries, and ultimately maintaining control over a situation. When we encounter opposition, whether in the form of criticism, aggression, or outright hostility, the natural inclination is to respond immediately. We feel compelled to justify our actions, defend our positions, or retaliate against the perceived attack. But in doing so, we often fall into a trap laid by our opponents, who may be seeking to engage us in a heated exchange, hoping to catch us off guard or provoke an emotional response. This is where the power of silence becomes evident. By choosing not to respond, we deny our opponents the reaction they are seeking. Silence disrupts their expectations and forces them to confront an unexpected calm. In many cases, silence can create a sense of uncertainty and discomfort in those who oppose us. When someone is met with silence instead of the expected argument or defense, they are left to question their own words and actions. They may begin to doubt the validity of their position, wonder whether their words have been too harsh, or feel unsettled by the lack of reaction. This internal questioning can be more disarming than any verbal retort. Silence, in this context, acts as a mirror, reflecting their aggression back at them and leaving them to grapple with it on their own. Moreover, silence can serve as a powerful tool in maintaining control over a situation. When we engage in a verbal exchange, we risk being drawn into a conflict that escalates beyond our control. Words can be misinterpreted, emotions can flare, and the situation can quickly spiral out of hand. By remaining silent, we retain the upper hand. We are not swayed by the emotions of the moment, and we do not allow others to dictate the terms of the interaction. In silence, there is control over our responses and over the dynamic of the situation. Silence also communicates confidence. When we are silent in the face of opposition, we signal that we are not easily rattled, that we do not feel the need to defend ourselves against every challenge. This quiet confidence can be deeply unsettling to those who seek to provoke us. They may perceive our silence as an indication that their words have no power over us, that we are secure in our own beliefs and actions. This perceived indifference can be more damaging to an opponent's morale than any argument or defense we could offer. Furthermore, silence allows us to avoid unnecessary conflict. Not every challenge or criticism requires a response. Often, opposition is born out of misunderstanding, miscommunication, or a difference in perspective that cannot be resolved through argument. By choosing silence, we avoid engaging in conflicts that are unlikely to yield a positive outcome. Instead, we allow the situation to de-escalate, creating space for cooler heads to prevail. In time, our silence may lead others to reconsider their approach or open the door to more productive dialogue. Silence can also be a strategic pause, giving us time to assess the situation and consider our next steps. In the heat of the moment, it can be difficult to think clearly and make wise decisions. By remaining silent, we create a buffer of time that allows us to gather our thoughts, evaluate the situation, and determine the best course of action. This pause can be crucial in preventing hasty decisions or words that we may later regret. It also demonstrates to our opponents that we are thoughtful and deliberate in our responses rather than reactive. In some cases, silence can even lead to a resolution of the conflict without the need for further action. When an opponent is met with silence, they may choose to back down, realizing that their efforts to provoke or challenge have been ineffective. Alternatively, they may approach the situation from a different angle, seeking to engage in a more constructive manner. In either case, silence has the potential to shift the dynamic of the interaction in a more positive direction. The power of silence in disarming opposition lies in its ability to disrupt expectations, maintain control, and create space for reflection and resolution. It is a tool that requires patience, confidence, and restraint, but when used effectively, it can be a formidable means of navigating conflict and overcoming challenges. In a world where words are often wielded as weapons, silence can be the most disarming response of all. Silence is a force that, though subtle, can create profound confusion and uncertainty in those who oppose us. In a society where communication is constant and words are used as weapons, silence disrupts the expected flow of interaction. It leaves adversaries grappling with a lack of response, throwing them off balance and forcing them to confront the unknown. This uncertainty can be unsettling, causing them to question their own assumptions, motives, and strategies. When engaged in conflict or opposition, people often rely on verbal cues and reactions to gauge the effectiveness of their words or actions. They expect a response, whether it be a rebuttal, a defense, or an escalation, because it affirms that their message has been received and that they have elicited a reaction. However, when met with silence, this expectation is shattered. The lack of response can be disorienting, leaving adversaries uncertain about how to proceed. They may begin to wonder whether their words were heard at all, whether they were understood, or whether they had any impact. This uncertainty can lead to confusion, as the usual dynamics of interaction are disrupted. Silence creates a void, and in that void, people tend to project their own fears and insecurities. Without the feedback of a verbal response, an adversary is left to fill in the blanks with their own imagination. They might start to question whether their approach was correct, whether they have misjudged the situation, or whether they have underestimated their opponent. This introspection, fueled by the absence of clear communication, can lead to a spiral of doubt. In the absence of clear signals, the mind tends to wander, often toward the worst-case scenario. Silence, therefore, becomes a canvas upon which adversaries paint their own uncertainties, amplifying their confusion and discomfort. Moreover, silence can be interpreted in many different ways, each of which can contribute to an adversary's unease. It might be seen as a sign of strength, suggesting that the silent party is so confident in their position that they feel no need to justify or defend themselves. Alternatively, it could be perceived as a strategic move, leaving the adversary guessing about the next step, unsure of what will come next. This ambiguity can be deeply unsettling, as it deprives the adversary of the clarity they need to feel secure in their actions. The human mind craves certainty, and when that certainty is disrupted, it creates a sense of instability and confusion. In some cases, silence can lead adversaries to overestimate the significance of their own words or actions. They may start to believe that the silence is a sign of something deeper, perhaps a careful consideration of a powerful counter-move, or a deliberate ploy to lure them into a false sense of security. This overthinking can cause them to second-guess their strategies, potentially leading them to alter their approach in ways that are less effective or even self-defeating. By remaining silent, you can create a psychological environment where your adversaries are effectively battling their own doubts and fears rather than you. Silence also removes the fuel that drives many conflicts, the back-and-forth exchange of words. Without a verbal response to latch onto, an adversary's momentum can stall. Words are like tennis balls in a rally. Each response keeps the exchange going. But when one side stops playing, the other is left holding the ball, unsure of what to do next. This interruption in the flow of interaction can lead to confusion, as the adversary is forced to reconsider their next move in the absence of the expected volley. The sudden quiet can be jarring, creating a moment of pause that disrupts their rhythm and forces them to rethink their strategy. Furthermore, silence can also create the illusion of control. When you do not respond, you withhold from your adversary the power to influence you with their words. They may become increasingly desperate to elicit a reaction, trying different tactics in the hopes of provoking a response. This desperation can lead to mistakes, as they may overreach or reveal more than they intended in their attempts to break the silence. In this way, silence shifts the power dynamic, placing the adversary in a position of uncertainty and vulnerability. In some instances, the confusion and uncertainty generated by silence can lead an adversary to abandon their opposition altogether. Faced with a lack of reaction, they may lose interest or confidence in their cause, deciding that it is not worth pursuing further. The silence effectively diffuses the situation, allowing it to dissipate without the need for direct confrontation. This can be especially effective in situations where the opposition is based more on bluster or posturing than on genuine conviction. Silence is a tool that, when used strategically, can create a powerful sense of confusion and uncertainty in adversaries. By disrupting their expectations, forcing them to confront their own doubts, and depriving them of the verbal cues they rely on, silence can turn the tide of an interaction in subtle yet profound ways. It is a quiet force that can disarm, unsettle, and ultimately overcome opposition. Silence and needless words stand in stark contrast, representing two vastly different approaches to communication and interaction. Silence is often a deliberate choice, a decision to withhold speech and let the absence of words speak for itself. In contrast, needless words are those spoken without purpose, filling the air with noise that serves no meaningful function. Understanding the distinction between these two can lead to a more thoughtful, effective way of engaging with others and navigating the complexities of human relationships. Silence is powerful because it is intentional. When we choose to be silent, we are exercising restraint, allowing ourselves to think and reflect before responding. This deliberate pause can prevent misunderstandings and conflicts that often arise from hasty or thoughtless speech. Silence provides space for reflection, enabling us to consider the weight and impact of our words before we speak them. It also allows us to listen more attentively, to truly hear what others are saying, and to respond in a way that is measured and appropriate. Silence, therefore, becomes a tool for deeper understanding and more meaningful communication. On the other hand, needless words are often born out of a compulsion to fill the silence, to avoid the discomfort that can accompany quiet moments. They are words spoken without thought or consideration, driven by the desire to be heard rather than the need to convey something meaningful. These words can clutter a conversation, diluting the message and leading to confusion or miscommunication. When we speak unnecessarily, we risk saying things we do not truly mean, or that do not contribute to the discussion at hand. This can create misunderstandings, as the true intent behind our words becomes lost in the noise. Moreover, needless words can undermine the value of our speech. When we speak too often or too carelessly, our words can lose their impact. People may begin to tune us out, recognizing that much of what we say is not essential or valuable. In contrast, when we use silence judiciously and speak only when we have something important to say, our words carry more weight. They are more likely to be heard, remembered, and taken seriously. Silence, in this way, can enhance the power of our words, making them more impactful when they are finally spoken. There is also a certain wisdom in knowing when to remain silent. Not every situation requires a verbal response, and sometimes the best course of action is to say nothing at all. This can be particularly true in moments of tension or conflict, where speaking out might escalate the situation rather than diffuse it. Silence can act as a calming force, allowing emotions to settle and giving all parties the opportunity to reflect before re-engaging. It is a way of showing that we are not controlled by our impulses, but rather by a thoughtful consideration of what is truly necessary. Needless words, however, often arise from the opposite impulse, a desire to assert oneself, to fill the void, or to dominate the conversation. This can lead to a kind of verbal clutter, where the true message is obscured by a barrage of unnecessary speech. In such cases, words can become a barrier to understanding rather than a bridge. They can create distance between people, as the listener struggles to pass the important points from the irrelevant chatter. This is the danger of needless words. They can obscure the truth, complicate communication, and lead to misunderstandings. In contrast, silence has a way of cutting through the noise, of stripping away the unnecessary and focusing attention on what truly matters. When we are silent, we allow the important things to come to the forefront. We create a space where genuine understanding can emerge, free from the distractions of needless speech. Silence can also convey a depth of feeling or thought that words might struggle to express. In moments of profound emotion or reflection, silence can be the most eloquent response, conveying a sense of respect, contemplation, or solidarity that words alone might fail to capture. Furthermore, the contrast between silence and needless words can be seen in the way each is perceived by others. Silence, when used thoughtfully, is often seen as a sign of wisdom, maturity, and self-control. It suggests that the silent person is not swayed by the need to constantly assert themselves, but is instead comfortable with their own thoughts and the thoughts of others. This can inspire respect and trust, as it signals that the person values listening and understanding over the need to dominate the conversation. Needless words, on the other hand, can be perceived as a sign of insecurity or a lack of self-awareness. When we speak without purpose, it can suggest that we are uncomfortable with silence, or that we feel the need to fill every moment with our own voice. This can be off-putting to others, who may see it as a sign that we are more interested in hearing ourselves speak than in truly engaging with them. It can also lead to a loss of credibility, as people begin to question the value of what we say. The contrast between silence and needless words highlights the importance of thoughtful communication. By embracing silence when appropriate and choosing our words carefully, we can ensure that our speech is meaningful, impactful, and conducive to genuine understanding. In a world filled with noise, the power of silence and the careful use of words cannot be overstated. Silence is a powerful tool for maintaining dignity and control in various aspects of life. In situations where emotions run high, Words can often escalate conflicts, misunderstandings, or diminish one's composure. Silence, on the other hand, provides a way to preserve one's dignity, enabling a person to navigate challenging circumstances with grace and poise. It is not a sign of passivity or weakness, but rather a deliberate choice that reflects inner strength and self-mastery. Through silence, we retain control over our emotions, actions, and how others perceive us, ultimately upholding our dignity in the face of adversity. In moments of confrontation or criticism, the instinctual reaction may be to defend oneself, to justify, or to retaliate. However, this often leads to a cycle of conflict, where each party becomes more entrenched in their position, and the situation spirals out of control. By choosing silence, we step out of this reactive cycle. Silence provides a buffer that allows us to process the situation without immediately reacting to it. This pause enables us to consider the implications of our words before speaking, preventing us from saying something we might later regret. In doing so, we maintain control over the situation and over our own responses, preserving our dignity by not being drawn into unnecessary conflict. Moreover, silence allows us to project an image of calm and composure, even in the face of provocation. When we respond to a challenging situation with silence, we demonstrate that we are not easily rattled or swayed by the emotions of the moment. This ability to remain calm under pressure is a mark of true dignity, showing that we are in control of ourselves, regardless of external circumstances. Others are often disarmed by this response, as it denies them the satisfaction of eliciting a reaction. They may come to respect our restraint, recognizing that silence can be a sign of confidence and inner strength. Silence also offers a way to maintain control over our personal narrative. In any interaction, the words we choose or choose not to say shape how others perceive us. By remaining silent in certain situations, we prevent others from defining us or our intentions through their interpretations of our words. Instead, silence allows us to control the flow of the conversation, giving us time to think strategically about how we wish to present ourselves. It also protects us from being misquoted or misunderstood, which can often happen in the heat of a verbal exchange. In this way, silence acts as a safeguard for our dignity, ensuring that we are not misrepresented or drawn into a narrative that does not align with our true self. Silence also allows us to maintain emotional control. In many situations, particularly those involving personal attacks or emotional manipulation, responding with words can lead to an escalation of emotions. Anger, frustration, and hurt can cloud our judgment, causing us to say things that exacerbate the situation. By choosing silence, we prevent these emotions from taking control, allowing us to remain level-headed and composed. This emotional restraint is a key component of dignity, as it demonstrates our ability to rise above the immediate situation and act in accordance with our values and principles, rather than being driven by momentary impulses. Additionally, silence can be a means of self-preservation. In the midst of conflict or chaos, silence provides a retreat into oneself, a space where we can gather our thoughts, reflect, and regain our sense of balance. This introspective silence allows us to reconnect with our inner values and priorities, helping us to stay true to ourselves in the face of external pressures. By taking this time to reflect, we maintain our dignity by ensuring that our actions are aligned with our deeper sense of purpose and integrity. Furthermore, silence invites us to engage with our inner voice, the often quiet but persistent guide that offers wisdom and direction. In the noise of daily life, this inner voice can be drowned out by the demands and opinions of others. However, in silence it becomes more discernible, offering insights that might otherwise go unnoticed. Listening to this inner voice can lead to profound realizations about our values, desires, and the direction we wish to take in life. It is through this inner dialogue that we begin to understand our true selves, separate from the roles and expectations imposed on us by society. The impact of silence on personal insight is also linked to its ability to foster mindfulness. In silence, we become more attuned to the present moment, paying attention to our thoughts, feelings, and surroundings without judgment. This mindful awareness allows us to observe our thoughts more objectively, recognizing when they are helpful or harmful, grounded in reality, or distorted by fear or desire. By cultivating this mindful awareness in silence, we can develop a deeper understanding of how our minds work, which in turn empowers us to make more conscious choices in our lives. Silence also allows us to confront the questions and uncertainties that we may avoid in the noise of daily life. In moments of quiet reflection, we can ask ourselves the difficult questions: what are my true goals? What do I fear? What are the underlying motivations behind my actions? These questions, though uncomfortable, are essential for personal insight. They force us to confront the complexities of our inner world, leading to a deeper understanding of who we are and what we truly want from life. Silence gives us the courage to face these questions head-on, knowing that in the stillness we have the time and space to explore the answers. In addition, silence can serve as a powerful catalyst for creativity and problem-solving. When the mind is quiet, it is free to wander, to make connections between seemingly unrelated ideas, and to explore new possibilities. This creative reflection often leads to innovative solutions and fresh perspectives that might not emerge in a more noisy, pressured environment. Silence allows us to think more deeply and creatively, leading to insights that can transform our understanding of ourselves and our circumstances. Moreover, the practice of embracing silence can help us develop a more reflective approach to life in general. By regularly taking time to be silent and introspective, we cultivate a habit of reflection that extends beyond those quiet moments. This reflective mindset allows us to approach life's challenges with greater clarity and wisdom, as we have trained ourselves to look inward for guidance and insight. It helps us to live more intentionally, making decisions that are aligned with our deepest values and aspirations. The impact of silence on deepening personal insight and reflection is profound. In a world where we are constantly encouraged to keep moving, talking, and doing, silence offers a much-needed pause. It is in this pause that we can reconnect with ourselves, gain clarity, and develop a deeper understanding of our thoughts, emotions, and inner desires. By embracing silence, we open the door to greater self-awareness, emotional intelligence, and personal growth. It is within the quiet moments that we truly come to know ourselves, and through this self-knowledge, we can live more authentically and meaningfully. In a world filled with constant noise and distractions, silence emerges as a powerful tool for personal growth, understanding, and maintaining dignity. It provides a sanctuary for reflection, allowing us to sift through our thoughts, understand our emotions, and listen to our inner voice.